part of Benneville now, but it's where the church is.
Yeah.
And there were some Germans in a cottage, and him and a small group exchanged fire with them, and then he went into the cottage and found one German, he said about 20, who was dead, and he remembered going through his belongings and finding a picture of his wife. He said that to him was when it really hit him that he'd killed somebody.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about that story was that his son had never heard it. And his son kind of came up to us and went, God, he never told that before. And you could tell he hadn't just invented it on the spot. I mean, he was there when he was telling it, and he sort of thought about it for a long time, and then he suddenly told us. And there were other things that came out as well, for the first time, and amazing even after all this time.
I think a lot of the stories are coming out now as, sadly, a lot of them are reaching sort of the end of their lives, and there's not many left, unfortunately, pass the stories on. So,
no. And that's kind of really, that's probably the core reason for making the film, is because the last scene is kind of that in the movie, is like the mantle being passed down from generations. And we're hoping that this film will, a bit like, you've got the Dunkirk movie coming out soon. I'm sure that will probably do quite successful because it's got the power of Hollywood behind it.
Yeah.
But that, very cleverly, they also cast Harry Styles in it. And people make a lot of jokes about that, but you know what? That's a very shrewd move, because who doesn't watch World War II films?
Yeah, exactly, the kids.
Young girls between the age of 12 and 18, but they will now.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll go and see Dunkirk because Harry Styles is in it.
Yeah, that's
I mean, actually, if that gives them a sobering dose of reality of what kids not too older than themselves went through, that's not a bad thing. So casting him is actually a really good thing.
But don't worry, Justin Bieber's not in the film.
He's not in our film. Justin not, no. He tried to get in, but we said no. He didn't really. If any lawyers are listening, that's not a joke. But we're thinking of casting someone of a similar, someone who can act. But because Sharon won't have anyone in the film.
No, I won't have anyone.
Sharon won't have anyone in the film. It's no good. But we are going to be. We're going to be looking for somebody probably from that market to tick that box as well. Probably not in a massive role, but so if any of the Wanted are listening, or anyone from
Jonas Brothers,
I don't know.
They're getting a bit old now, I suppose.
No, they're American as well, aren't they?
They are.
No. British boy bands only, please. Yeah. But any British pop stars, we'll consider them if they can act. Because some of them can act, because they just decided to go into pop music. Some of them can act.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they can't, I'll put them through a rigid 10-week acting course, and then they'll be all right. But yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, with social media, we've got how many interviews now with the veterans? Quite a few.
We've got about 6, I think.
Yeah, and they're all going to be on the DVD, we think, Blu-rays and stuff.
Fantastic.
One of the reasons that we started so early on this film, apart from to build the social media for the movie, was because of reasons like that. I mean, there's one veteran that's like begging us, can you get it done any faster? Because he wants to see the film. I mean, there's nothing like that to light a candle, but we can only go as fast as the finance guys dictate. So we were supposed to shoot a big portion of the film this year, and that didn't happen. There's a simple reason for that, and that reason is called Brexit. So,
right, yeah. Yeah, I think that's put a dampener on quite a lot of things.
Don't get me started on that.
Or me, don't worry, otherwise, because you guys will be drifted off to sleep with me going on about that.
Increase the budget in France by about 35%, which is not an insignificant sum of money for an independent film.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a hell of a lot. But I mean, what you've done there as well, like you say, with the interviews you've done for the veterans and that you put on the extras and stuff, they are pieces of history. I've kind of I started out doing this with Vietnam veterans because I used to run a reenactment group, Vietnam LERPs, and the first thing I did was write to the veterans, and within about 2-3 hours I had like 15 emails from them all saying, oh my God, someone actually wants to remember us. And I started out a couple of years ago doing it for a school. I've got a teacher friend in Doncaster. So I just said to him, well, they're learning about Vietnam, and I got a couple of the guys on from who I'd spoken to and befriended. And again, they're just recorded now, just as I think they're vital. These accounts of people who've been in situations like this, more so with World War II, because obviously it was a much bigger and a much more devastating military and political situation is vital to keep going. Sorry, and obviously being able to have that. I mean, my grandfather, like I said, you're missing loads of accounts because they never spoke about these situations. My granddad, I think, spoke about it once. My dad always said, he remembers him speaking about it once, and he said he was in tears because he said he saw nuns and children slaughtered in the streets. He said there was one occasion, because they were like advanced communications, it was a really foggy morning, and I think this was the funny bit, they'd woken up, they were setting the comms up all night, and the fog lifted in the morning, and literally about 30, 40 metres away, there was a German unit, pioneering unit, doing exactly the same thing. And they was just like, all these guys just sort of looked at each other and thought, oh shit, and turned and just like, okay, let's go, and just left them to it, because it was just a mutual situation of, can't be bothered, too much killing, too much death.
It's a bit like that thing on Christmas Day where everybody came out and played football from the trenches.
The truce, singing together and stuff.
It's funny that can happen a bit more often.
Exactly.
So, what's your next question?
Sorry about that, I'm rambling away there. I'm not sure if the...
You're allowed to drink wine as well, it's not a problem.
I've only got water, I'm afraid. I can't turn that into wine, I'm not that way inclined.
I wish we could.
Yeah. Okay, I'm unsure of actual laws for being at a historic site. Are you filming on location over at Pegasus Bridge, or is it? I don't know if that's allowed, or whether you're going to recreate the sets.
We are allowed to film on Pegasus Bridge. The new bridge is completely different from the original.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks the same, but the canal is much wider than it was in 44. If you look at the black and white pictures of it in 44, you can see it's much narrower.
Yeah.
And the structure of the bridge itself is a lot smaller. So we're going to build the bridge set in the UK, and then we're going to cheat some of the shots in France. And then we're filming in other places. We're filming in some French villages and the church. And
we have also got some of the actual bridge, but in the museum, though, haven't we?
Yeah, there's the actual bridge in the museum. We're going to shoot some stuff on there at night, I think.
Yeah.
A few bits and pieces, but we are recreating the bridge set. And the museum's been amazing. They offered to let us build our entire set in there at one point.
Wow.
And if it had just been the bridge in there and nothing else, we probably would have said yes. But because it's all surrounded with memorials and placards, and would have had to have moved this and moved that, and we would like, no, that's not going to work, and we don't want to be treading on anyone's toes and causing issues there. So
no, it's very, very kind of them to have offered, though.
But yeah, very kind, and they're helping. They're helping us in lots of other ways.
Yeah,
but
very supportive.
Very supportive. But we are filming in France, and there's a lot of action that takes place in the film that's not at the bridge. With 7th Para, because they bore the brunt of the action.
Yeah,
and they lose about 68 guys in the time frame of the film, and only 2 people died at the bridge. So you see a lot of that action. You see a lot of those guys getting killed. And a lot of that stuff's going to be filmed in France, some of it in the UK, some of it in France.
All right, cool.
So it won't be one of these films where it looks like it was shot in the UK. That was one of the things that was always a bit disappointing about Fury, was it did look like it was shot in the fields in Berkshire,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I was surprised that they didn't spend a little bit of money on post effects, just putting in a little bit of things into the landscape, just to give it more of a European and non-English feel, getting it away from that UK landscape, because the landscape of Germany and the borders of Belgium and Germany and that where it is kind of set is very different from the UK. And that they have different trees. There's a lot about it that's different, particularly the architecture. And there were never any shots of towns in the distance or steeples or anything like that. And I thought with some effects they could have done a few.
Well, it is, because all you need to do is go around there, and all you can see is these little villages and the hamlets all over the place like that. They're littered everywhere over in.
There was a lot I liked about Fury. There was an awful lot I liked. I'm sure they had to spend most of their money on Brad Pitt's salary, so pretty high percentage, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, I'd say that would probably quite high.
But I'm very conscious of it. I don't want it to look like one of these films that's set in Europe but shot in Utah, and has a few things in it that are trying to look European but clearly aren't. So we're paying a lot of attention to little things like that.
Yeah, and getting the right feel across it.
Yeah. And our art director's really good guy, JP, and he's really on it. And then our production designer, Stephen Lammerby, of course, worked on Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan and builds tanks and
many other things. Yeah, GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
Today he was driving Pierce Brosnan on GoldenEye.
Yeah, he was driving the tank, wasn't he?
He was driving the tank. Yeah.
That chase scene.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
that brings me on to my next question, which is for Jake. Mentioning GoldenEye is quite a good one because obviously, I mean, you've been in Skyfall yourself. One of your roles there.
That was a long time ago.
you were in Skyfall.
A long time ago, yeah.
Oh yeah, you were.
That was I was a chauffeur.
Chauffeur.
Yeah, chauffeur.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. When I first got into acting, I literally devoted my time to going on acting courses, just learning as much as I could. Because when I got into it, obviously the internet was big, so the information was there, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought also I'm going to do some extra work on set and find out what it's like on a set, get to learn the lingo, watch what's going on, get some experience on that. So literally, that's sort of how I got into, not how I got into it, but how I sort of started learning about it.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get on Skyfall and end up standing next to Daniel.
Standing next to Dan. Your old mate Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Familiarity there.
It's the old, hey DC, high five that came on.
It was incredible. I have to say, he's an amazing actor. He's a lovely man, and you won't know who I am for love of money. But,
he did say to me before he was a nice guy. I do remember you saying that.
So yeah, I sort of just did that, got some experience, then sort of quickly moved on from that because as an actor, you can't really be seen
playing chauffeurs.
Sort of that was back in 2011. That was a long time ago. That was.
Yeah.
Back when we started work on this, huh?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
That's what I mean, you know, obviously this seems to be your first World War II film as well, and so how does it feel playing the legend of the late Richard Todd, for example? I mean, you know, he didn't just fight in World War II, he became obviously then the actor who played his own senior officer as well in one of the films. So how does that feel?
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity for me, and I'm very grateful to Sharon and Lance for giving me that opportunity. And you know, it's a big responsibility, and I take it very seriously. And we've been trying to get in touch with their family, and we're sort of making inroads. I can't say too much at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we're going to get a sit down with one or two of them, which will be lovely. Which I really appreciate. But we've been finding out as much as we can about him. I've been doing some research, read his autobiography, and watching his films and stuff. Always it intrigues me is how he went back there and filmed The Longest Day, playing Major Howard, which must have been very strange there in the first instance to recreate that. Must have been tough, I would imagine, and surreal.
But Todd wasn't in the Ox and Bucks, just to be clear. He was in 7th Para Battalion. Yeah. So his objective was he dropped with Pine-Coffin. They parachuted out of bombers, or in our film, Dakotas, because we can't get bombers, unfortunately. And they landed on Drop Zone N, or wherever it was. Yeah. And they came in from the Ramville side, and Todd was one of 200 men that crossed the bridge and went into Benneville. And he was a captain?
He was a lieutenant when he landed.
Lieutenant.
Sorry, lieutenant.
Lieutenant. We are British.
We are British, so it's lieutenant.
I do come off.
Lieutenant.
I did say that.
According to his autobiography, I think it was literally a few weeks after he landed.
He got promoted to captain.
Yeah.
But he was in charge of like a little platoon of men.
He was in charge of comms as well, quite a lot.
Well, we don't see that in the film, do we?
Not in the film, but
everybody lost all their
in D-Day, he got promoted onto like on comms and things like that. But it's very interesting playing a person who's real, but playing Richard Todd, who was an actor and then went to the war and then went back to acting, and obviously became very big in the world of acting. So yeah, it's a great role, and I cherish it.
It's your youthful looks that got you the part, wasn't it?
Was it?
No, it was your skill, your flair.
Listen to Sharon.
The warmth and his matinee idol looks didn't hurt.
That was the word you used. Matinee idol looks.